All right, thank you so much for coming to our Minnesota Transportation Museum Adult Lecture Series for May. I'm so excited to welcome an organization that is very important here in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota, CAM, the Chinese American Association of Minnesota. They are so generously presenting a lecture for us today on the forgotten workers of the Golden Spike and this important part of our history that is so integral to our mission of informing people about Minnesota and general rail history here. So, you want to go ahead, Yanhua, take it away?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
So my name is Yanhua Wusands. The lecture was prepared by Dr. Fang Qiang, who is a historical professor, history professor in UMD, but he unfortunately had a trip go back to China, so he couldn't do this one. So I will present it for him in his place. So most of slides is actually prepared by him. I'm not an expert of history, so he is the guru on that. So for that, I apologize if I may get some of those things wrong, but hopefully he got good enough slides, and I try to put some notes myself that is accurate, and I do Google a lot. Hopefully it sits very well. So let's get started. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Today, we'll take a journey back in time to rediscover an incredible, often forgotten group of people, the Chinese railroad builder, who helped build the difficult part of the transcontinental railway, that helped, obviously, shape the US today. So let's jump into with a bold quote here. So that is quote said, "We built railroad that built America." It's very bold, but I think it bears a lot of truth to it. Let's pause for a moment and imagine yourself go back to the year of 1827, almost 200 years ago. US at that time, vast land, no highway, no railway, no airplane. Travel from East Coast to West Coast, if you're lucky to have a wagon, takes almost 6 months. And that is, assume the weather permits, assume you don't get sick in the way. And the travel between the coast to coast is so expensive, make the trade, commerce almost impossible. A lot of the goods will not even survive 6 months on the road. So that's the life before railway happens. So the railway did connect the east to west and help United States grow from industrial revolution to the settlement of the West. So that's why I said even the statement is bold, but it holds great truth of it. However, the early railroad system is primarily focused on the East Coast until 1869. I think 1869 is a pivotal year in American history. It's the completion of the first transcontinental railway road. It's an engineer marvel, and they connect the East Coast to West Coast. Now, it only takes 6 days instead of 6 months. It also promoted the concept of the national unity. We just come off the Civil War. So it is a pivotal moment of US history. But what's often overlooked, and which deserves to mention here, is the critical role that played by Chinese laborers, especially in building the most dangerous and challenging segments of the railroad. So what exactly they built? Which section, why is that so difficult? And we all know not all railroads created equal. Some are harder, some are brutal, and the passing through Sierra Nevada mountains is the hardest to do. Why? Because it has to go through the mountain range. And we all know the mountain range is made of the mostly granite, very hard material. The elevation is high and the ravine is deep. And it has so many tunnels need to go through. I did Google on that one. I think it's exactly 15 tunnels of like 6,200 feet. All need to be done under very harsh condition, the weather condition. We know there's snow, we know there's avalanche. Imagine the workers have to hang from the cliff in the basket to drill through the solid granite using the primitive explosive, not some modern thing we have today, right? With no safety gear, no machine, everything is by hand. All along, there's unpredictable avalanches that come and tunnel sometimes can collapse. The condition was so bad, the railroad companies struggle to recruit workers. And that's how Chinese work coming into picture. When does Chinese is like obviously ocean away. How is that in the US already? Everyone heard of the gold rush, right? That's when it started. The news traveled far across the ocean and reached China. Many Chinese people, they're struggling at home. China has their own problems at the time. Heard the news, began to dream of better life. Thousands of Chinese immigrants, some by choice, others deceived. There are people actually going and recruit people, deceived by it, made this long and terrible journey to California, hoping to find the gold in the Gold Mountain. That's what we call San Francisco in Chinese, Gold Mountains. They were among the first Chinese people come to US. And more people come every year. By 1870s, we have over 60,000 Chinese people living in California. What they faced is a slightly different version of stuff they heard in China. Instead, finding quick riches so they can return home, they end up have to struggle just to survive and to be accepted in this brand new land. So they didn't able to make a quick fortune and go back to China as they planned. So that's the journey started as gold rush, end up something else. In 1862, Congress passed the Pacific Railway Act to build the first, well, as I said earlier, most of the railway is on the East Coast region. So I think as a country, as a government, realize they need to able to travel better. So this act is addressing that issue. They want to build the first transcontinental railroad that connects the East to the West. But the condition was extremely dangerous. Not many white workers signed up for this risk job. Labor shortage became a major problem for the Central Pacific Railroad Company. In 1864, they began to hire Chinese immigrants who happened to be in California already, despite some pushback. And Chinese workers are very hard a group of people. The company was impressed by their assets, work ethics, so they hired more and more. By 1868, Chinese workers made up about 80% of Central Pacific workforce. Here I should mention that Leland Stanford happened to be on the board of that company. Praised, they said, well, Chinese people are diligent and fast learner. Though the praise doesn't protect them from discrimination, but it's sure good to be recognized. So who are those Chinese laborers come to U.S. that work on the railroad? They are not trained engineers. Most of them are poor farmers. They come here trying to pursue their dream to get some gold and return home. But they do have a dream to work and to earn money, to survive, even though it is a total different situation now. Here are some very rare photos of them. This is one Chinese labor certificates. And this is a painting, capture how Chinese climbing on those rugged peaks. And this is another very rare. We search, only find a few. The fact that so few photos exist today tell us something very important. They were invisible to the public, despite doing the hardest work. Even though those positions of power at the time recognized their contribution, it still couldn't really help. There's a couple congressmen, senator, governor acknowledged the contribution that Chinese people, Chinese workers have been done. But they really didn't when their economic value was really acknowledged and exploited by the railway companies. It really led to a fair treatment or equality for Chinese worker itself. Let's see some of the example. So normally they're underpaid, doing the same job, sometimes even more harder job, but they only get almost like a half the pay without any benefits. And same work performed by a white people would get not only more, as well as the lodging and the meals. And this is just some of economics part of it. Then there's also laws and discrimination. The condition is really not good that you are Chinese at that time. You have to pay special tax. You cannot go to public school. You cannot become a citizen of United States. And you cannot testify in court. Let's think a moment about that. That means if someone did wrong to you, you have no way to defend yourself because you're not allowed to testify in front of judge. The situation can be seen in captured by this couple cartoons here. Distortion of the image of Chinese people. It just broke my heart to even see that. The problem with those is, those are not just ink. They reflect the public attitudes towards Chinese immigrants at that time. And they also fueled real discrimination and the dangers. This is another statistic shows how many people die every day. Just imagine if we go to war today, if we have reports come back, say, today we have 20 people die, and you got the news every day, I think it would be devastating. But that is what will happen then. And Chinese people believing bury go back to China when you die, and they have to pay the remains to be buried in China by themselves. Obviously, this is very expensive, so very hard for them. So, and on top of it, I'm not sure if you're aware of, we have this Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. That is the most discriminatory laws in America. It's the first federal law to ban an entire ethnic group. It stopped Chinese laborers from coming and blocked those already here from becoming citizens. This law stayed for more than 60 years. The Chinese exclusion law had profound and lasting consequences. It not only blocked the immigration and citizenship, it also fueled more violence against Chinese people across the United States. I'm not sure if any of you are aware of the Rock Spring Massacre, 1885. On September 2nd, 1885, 150 white miners in Rock Spring, Wyoming, brutally attacked their Chinese co-workers, killing 28, wounded 15, and driving several hundred more out of town. The violence was so severe that the military had to intervene just to restore the order. And no one was ever being charged or punished for this crime. Look at this picture. I think this is an iconic picture of 1869 Golden Spike Ceremony. There's no single Chinese face in there. No Chinese worker appear in the picture. They weren't even invited, despite being the main labor force who took on the hardest and most dangerous job. Charles Clark is one of the manager of the Central Railway Company. He said, "I wish to remind you that the timely completion of the railroad we are building is largely due to the poor and despised so-called Chinese laborers." And they also set records. I think on April 28th, 1869, that on one day, they finished a track of 10 miles, mainly by hand. 10 miles by hand. It's an incredible achievement. And we will see a couple of art show about their time at the time of the celebration. So what's the commonality there is no single Chinese face in any of those cartoons, pictures, or paintings. They are largely left in the shadow. History may not have painted them. History may have painted them out of the frame, but modern leaders are starting to bring them back. And finally, in 2012, Congress issued a formal apology for the exclusion law. Here's what Senator Dianne Feinstein said. It was a significant symbolic step towards the justice. And 150 years later, on the 150th anniversary Golden Spike celebration, a Chinese laborer, the descendant of Chinese laborer, was in the celebratory picture with them. And that's another picture. I believe her name is Connie Yu Yong. She is a Chinese American writer and historian and lecturer. And also in the celebration party, we have Elaine Zhao, then the Transportation Secretary. In her speech, she honored the Chinese workers. She said this was a rare chance to add something good to the history book. And she used it to spotlight those forgotten heroes. Her words carried the weight of history. These laborers, they built more than just railroads. They built bridges for future generations. Their grit and sacrifice continue to inspire us today. To forget those workers is to forget a vital part of America's foundation. I would like to close this with Elaine Zhao's quote in her speech. Very meaningful. She reminded us that history is often written by those in power, but it can be corrected. Let's remember Chinese workers, not just today, but every time we speak of what built this country. And today we took a meaningful step together. And I thank you for being here. So I think Ping is our CAM president. So both of us are not major in history, but we will try our best to answer any question if you have any. So come, Ping.
I'm wondering if Cam knows the Minnesota Chinese American population. Are there any that are descendants of these laborers, or they're a different wave of coming over?
Yeah, I can answer that.
You go ahead.
Yeah, up to last U.S.
Census.
Census. That means it's 2020, right? Yeah, 2020. We got to know the whole population of Chinese immigrants in Minnesota. It's almost 40,000. So it's almost increased 1/3 than 10 years ago. That means it's 2000. No, 2010. 2010. So the Chinese population increasing steadily in Minnesota. But we are compared to Hmong people or other countries' immigrants, we are still not very large now. And regarding the sources of those Chinese people, mainly is from the mainland of China. And only a few, as we know, is from the California. Like some of them ancestors or the grandfathers generation are the railway workers or builders.
So more like a first generation immigrants are here. Most of the railway workers, and they are kind of spread in the West Coast, mostly in California. So I didn't do the research on that. I don't think we actually have the descendant of the golden spike here.
I have a question for you. So as you might or might not know, 3 of the transcontinental lines pass through St. Paul. However, those were constructed for the most part, except for maybe the North Pacific, that post 1880s decree.
Yeah.
So, but is there a history of Chinese laborers contributing to other transcontinental railroad lines in the western United States?
I would take that question back to the history professor. I was not research on that topic. Yes, but that's a great question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, but my guessing, because the 1882 we have this exclusive act, there is no more new laborers coming into U.S. But they do have the people that stay. 60,000 of them will be there working, but they are extremely hard to find good work. They mostly be pushed away going to the laundromat or cooking Chinese restaurant kind of thing, because they only can get jobs at the lowest end because the discrimination towards. So if I only can guess, I will ask him to give you the real answer. I would guess probably the involvement is smaller compared to the first one. The first one, as the numbers show, it really made up 80% of their labor force. So basically that stretch is pretty much done by Chinese people. With the help, I believe, the Irish worker there too, there's Phil. So
thank you, you did a great job.
Thank you. Yes.
Do you have any idea how many Chinese workers returned to China due to the exclusion?
I do not know that. I have to take that question too.
Maybe
So
it's hard to.
it's very hard to. It was not very. They are like at the bottom of the bottom. They don't have lots of statistics. We don't have photos of them. There's no documentation. Some probably come like illegally too. So it is going to be very hard. But what I understand by reading the books and watching the documentary is like, because they did not, few made fortune. They do have, the early ones did come and maybe got some money. They went back. But the second wave, people coming, most easy gold is already done, right? They have very hard time to get a quick, so they couldn't even pay off that debt to go back. So this is my guessing again, right? I don't think lots of people make back to China. They choose because if doesn't feel good, you go back to China, you didn't have anything to show off, right? So a lot of people choose to stay, and they've been working here. They used to kind of the life here. Even though they had hardship, they still build a community together. Like we already have Chinatown in San Francisco, in very early age. So they felt they found a small community here rather than go back to China, be shame and say, oh, what kind of silly idea go there, right? So very few people actually made out rich and go back. Most of the people stay on, and those are the early Chinese immigrants, and they mostly still in California. I think their descent may be spread out, but for all their life, they probably mostly spend time in the California. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, this is not train related. You said between 1910 and 1920, the Chinese American population in Minnesota increased by a third. And I'm wondering if you guys have any understanding of, other than knowing people here, is there something that would bring Chinese people to Minnesota in particular? Why aren't they going to Ohio or Boston, or why Minnesota, other than family connections?
I mean, 2010 to 2020, it's not 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think mainly is the job.
School and job.
Yes, school
Yes.
and job.
Yes,
Because
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because Minnesota is a very quickly growing economic state. They have a very good college and education system, and also very good job market. So a lot of people from other states come here, especially in Twin Cities area,
Yeah.
to settle down,
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah, both P and I come to. So I studied actually computer science degree at UFM, and I finished the degree, and there's opportunity to work, and then I stay. I think most of Chinese coming, our generation, obviously different, slightly different than the earlier, right? They come for it's more farmers and or more poor, they don't have other means, so they come here to work. So now I think the attraction will be good school that open, welcome to Chinese students, and company willing to offer them a job if they want to stay. So that's how we stayed and had raised the family. I have 3 kids and he has 3 kids. So I guess, and to be honest, I actually spend most of time, as I said, I go to U here. So I spent most of time in Minnesota. I joking with my parents and friends, it was like, I actually spent here longer than anywhere else. I mean, it's only too fair to say this is my hometown now. So I actually felt Minnesota is very welcoming to not just Chinese, all like foreigners. I think when I started school with you around 1990 something, right? And even though you have not the biggest, largest school, but they has most Chinese students there at the time I started. So that's how I actually was able to, get accepted, because they had an open policy to support, give a little financial support, not money, but you have to work for it. You work as TA, teacher assistant, or tutor, and you can get like in-state tuition too. So that by those kind of policy helped me a lot, because I often tell my kids nowadays still, I come to US with like $100 in my pocket. That's all I have. Then that's even that. Plane tickets and that is all my parents' saving, because I think that one's like $1 is 10 Chinese yuan then. And average Chinese people is like 50, 80 yuan a month. That's their salary. So yeah, there's not. I have nothing when it comes to United States. I think I owed everything to Minnesota and to the United States by welcoming and accepting me. So.
Does the Chinese government have any problems with you staying here? Now that you've got a degree?
Yeah, I'm sure, like if I'm famous or something, then maybe. I do hear that, but in general, for us, right? I don't think we have 1 point some billion, a million people.
1.4.
Yeah, 1.4 billion people
Over
over there. Yeah,
That's enough.
they not like if I really famous in scientists or something in my area, maybe it's a different story. They might be reaching out to stuff, but no, I think right now they don't. They are okay with that.
I can add one point.
Okay, please.
It depends. So if you come to States with your own financial support, like Yanhua, her parents save the money and give it to here and come to States. But for some other scholars or students, if they got the financial supported
From the
by
government,
the
yeah.
because the government has this kind of scholarship,
Yeah.
if you got the accepted by the universities or research institutes, you can go, but you go.
Have to go back.
Yeah, you have to go back.
To-
Yeah, you.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
because you have to pay back. If you don't go
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
you have to pay that money and also that's
Yes,
fair. I think,
yes. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fair.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
the different thing.
Good point.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot about that. Yes.
So
Yeah.
most of
So those are more exchange students. They have to go back at least like to serve the country for a couple years, pay off whatever the debt. Then you can come again.
Right. There is a 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
Policy.
Limit. Yeah.
You have to go back to sea for 2 years, and then you can come back to States. Otherwise, the States of department will not issue that waiver for you. So you need to get that approval notice from your country, like the Chinese government, and then show the States, I was waived by this, and then I can continue to stay. That's the agreement between two countries.
Are you able to become citizens of the U.S. then?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you be dual, or
No.
you have to pick?
No, you have to
Chinese
pick.
government doesn't allow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't do so. Yes.
Yeah. So
It was-
Decision.
It was very hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like
So now,
India.
like if I go back to China, I have to go get a visa as well. Just like yeah.
Yeah.
It's very.
So as I know, American government doesn't care your dual citizenship, but the Chinese government, they care. You have to pick
Yes.
what side you want to do.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. But our kids born here, they live here. It's only right to kind of, get the citizenship here too. So, yeah.
But the situation is changing now. Especially during these years, the American government, especially the new administration, they I think almost stopped that policy to accept the exchange students or scholars financially supported by the Chinese government, especially in certain fields, like STEM, this kind of STEM research area. They are limiting this. If you got the financial support from the Chinese government, you're trying to start like we call the sensitive majors, you may not be accepted.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a tough situation.
Well,
Thank you so much.
thank you so much for having us. Yeah. I hope it's at least a little bit meaningful, a little bit informational, and something to think over. So thank you.
Thank you so much. If you want to know more about CAM, Chinese American Association of Minnesota, you can just Google it. We have a website. This organization is the oldest Chinese community
In Minnesota.
in Minnesota.
Yes.
So it's officially registered in 1967, and it's formed in 1950s, and it's started the activity in 1930s. It's from a Chinese restaurant.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because Chinese people have been in Minnesota for quite a long time.
Quite a long
Yes.
time. Yes.
1910?
Yeah.
I think 1910s, maybe even like our founders, grandparents, they come to Minnesota in the 80s. Yeah.